On today's enchanting episode, we are going to be making my mom, her Gam Gam's famous quiche. It's gonna be delicious and easy, and Marmalade's gonna walk us through, / she might be napping, so just think of her there in spirit. Okay, so let's talk about what's needed for the quiche. Thank you, lovely assistant. It's always good to have a pup around should you spill anything. They're great at being the cleanup crew. So the first things first with this quiche. This is gonna be the best quiche you've ever had. So if you're someone who's like, oh, I've never been a fan of quiche yet, because this quiche is going to change your world. For the better, of course. But the first thing we do is turn on the oven to 350, and we're going to take already made pie crusts. I like to get the deep dish because I tend to overpack things like apple pies and stuff. And no, I'm not making pie crust from scratch because I don't want to. You're gonna take them out, you're gonna use a fork and pierce the bottom to give it some air so that when it's heating up, preheating in the oven with just the pie crust pierced on a cookie or baking sheet, it'll brown a little bit. You don't wanna overcook it. You're just gonna do that, you're gonna keep an eye on it. You just want it to get a little bit golden brown. It makes such a huge difference when you add all of the ingredients and then put it back in. If you're concerned that preheating or starting to cook this is going to then burn the edges, you can do the trick my mom taught me by wrapping tin foil around just the pie crust edge, which will get exposed to the heat more than the under part. So that's the way that you do it. Go work around without having to burn your stuff. So while that is getting nice and a little toasted in the oven, I'm gonna tell you about the other ingredients. We have spinach. You know how spinach cooks down a lot, so you're gonna want 2 of them. I'm making 2 quiche, so if you're gonna make one, just use half the ingredients. You're gonna need eggs, light cream. I'm gonna put mushrooms in mine. If you don't like mushrooms, the good news is you don't have to. I'm going to be adding honey ham, some salt, some pepper, some Italian seasoning. I'm going to caramelize some shallots with garlic. Some of it's sprouted, so some of those are going in the garden. And I'm going to take you step by step through this process. But again, you can put whatever you want in it. It's delicious, marmalade approved for the smell taste. She's not allowed to have people food yet, especially because we're gonna train her right, but also because she's a puppy and we don't wanna upset that balance more than her finding grass and sticks and rocks and other animals' poops and such like that. On that beautiful topic, here we go. So since I just got this directly from the grocery store, it's already thawed by the time I got home and did the intro to this. So I'm just gonna take a fork and you're going to just make little imprints on the bottom, because I don't know if you've ever done this before or it's ever happened to you, but when cooking a pie crust, sometimes if you don't have the holes in it, it's gonna bubble up and crack, and then you don't have a bottom anymore for your pan. So apply those liberally. If you're gonna make 2, do it to both. If you're not, only do it to 1 and put the other one in the freezer where it will stay until you're ready to do something else with it. Maybe an apple pie is in your future. I don't know. Okay, so that was super easy. These are perforated. Whoop. And now they're gonna go in the oven that's been preheating. So that's gonna go in. I'm gonna check on it in about 5 minutes and take it out and let it sit to the side as I get everything else prepared. First things first, we're going to caramelize some shallots and garlic. You don't have to do it, but it adds such a great flavor and a new dimension to your quiche. So I highly recommend it, but again, if you're like, forget it, it's too much work, okay. You could also use like powdered onion or garlic in a pinch, or if you're lazy or just feel like it, up to you. but we are going to do shallots and garlic in a pan on the stove until it's caramelized. So come on with me. So first I want to caramelize the shallots with the garlic. I'm going to use a tiny saucepan and a big knife in case I get into a knife fight. And also butter, of course. So I'm not going to use too much of it, just enough to help me get my friends where they need to be. So, all right, do 2 of those to start. I might add more if I feel like it or if it needs it. Shallots are my favorite to cook with. I'm just not an onion girl. I'm a sucker for onion powder, but anything that makes me cry, I'm generally not a big fan of. But also I really enjoy the taste of shallots more than most onions. So first we get that really delightful dinner jacket off, thank you. And we're gonna slice it nice and thin, get it in the pan, get it ready for the show. Just adding this extra step of, browning out the shallots and the garlic with the butter, caramelizing the shallots, just adds such a delicious extra flavor to what's going to be an already outstanding quiche. So fancy. If anybody knows the origin, please let us know, because that stuff's interesting. And if you are one of those people who wants to, you can peel off the harder outer layer, but I'm going to keep it because I'm about to, heat it up and soften it over the stove anyway. Yeah, that's as strong as the smell. If I start crying, please forgive me, but I'm pretty sure the shallot won't make me cry. Not again. Okay, I'm gonna cut it down a little smaller because it's a quiche and you don't want somebody, even though it's gonna be really cooked down, you don't want that person getting like that one bite that's just like all shallot or onion or whatever, because that is awful. I'll take away from your award-winning quiche. Okay. That's nice and easy. Plop that in. Please, of course, do everything carefully. And if you have a puppy roaming around, obviously, if you drop something, you're wanting to definitely pick that up. Okay, shallot done. Now we're gonna take just a couple pieces of garlic. We don't want it overrun. It's not gonna be a super garlicky dish, but And again, the ones that have already started growing, probably stay away from those, throw them in the garden, But now we're going to take off their dinner jackets, fancy, fancy garlic. We are going to peel it real good. Boop, boo, doo, 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 doo. Doo, 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 doo. Come on now. If it gives you trouble, use a giant knife. It's always worked for me. I'm sure it'll work for you. Okay. Take off the little rough ends, which I'm sure you already know how to do. And then I do the thing where you bruise it or squish it on the side. You have to be careful though, because if you're using a knife, you can use other things. But my method of madness is a giant knife. I like that. I'm going super slowly because I'm on TV. I'm like, we do not need to see me have to call for an ambulance. Because I'm super paying attention to what I'm doing right now, which I mean I always do, but especially when the camera is rolling. I don't end up becoming a meme. Uno mas. There we go. Okay. Smells so good already. It's making my tummy rumble. Hi, Marmalade. You gonna come over and help? I don't know if you're gonna like the smell of this garlic, but we're gonna put this on the stove. We'll bring you over with me and we'll watch it get nice and caramelized, nice and browned up. Some brown butter. So good. Okay, so now we have our garlic and shallots on the stove. I have it at 6.5. All of our stoves are different-ish. Marmalade loves this part. This is where we brown the butter and caramelize the shallots and garlic to take the sting out of it, especially if you're not like a big fan of onions. Oh, do you have a busy appointment? She's so busy. She'll be back. And she might be grabbing her boyfriend down the street, Skeeter. Got her a little present. And it's super cute. It's a little lamb. And it makes a crinkly sound. So you might be hearing that throughout the episode. Or if you're like, who's crinkling? It's Marmalade because she loves Skeeter. That's just how it goes. 2 rescue dogs falling in love. No more of a beautiful story than that. Okay, I will probably turn it up to 7. It's gonna take a minute. You can't really walk away from this when it's happening because you want it to really break down, but you don't want to burn it because if it's burned, it's out. So you're just going to slowly but surely let the butter turn brown and let the shallots start to break down. In the meantime, I'm gonna let Marmalade and Lammy go out to her outside bed. So sit tight. This is Lammy, by the way, which Skeeter gave to Marmalade. It's super soft. It has that crinkly stuff inside. The dogs love it. Marmalade's in love. So I'm gonna give it back to her. She's coming for it right now. Whoa. Welcome back. It's been so long, so many seconds. You're gonna keep moving this around, the shallots and the garlic with the butter. If you feel that it needs more butter, put it in. And if you think it's good enough, great. Oh man, I'm getting so hungry. Oh yeah, you hear that? Keep moving it around. All right. Go leave that for 2 seconds. Spatula is heavier than the little tiny baby frying pan. Who knew? I'm gonna check on the toasting pie crust. Let's see. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let me bring you down with me. Hold on. We're going into the oven. Okay. So with them at that color, like the golden brown, but absolutely, I'm gonna time it out, take them out, put them aside, and get back to caramelizing and browning the delicious shallots with garlic. Almost there with that. So good. Flip over, and these look amazing. And we're gonna hold it up so you can see it a little bit better. But if you're able to see inside the crusts, or the sun might be making it a little impossible, because we put the holes, the whole thing didn't bubble up. There is a little bit of a hill in parts of it, but the ingredients that we're gonna add to it will absolutely take care of that, so it's not a big deal. This, okay, almost done with. Woo! Flavor Flav, 4 days. So a thing that we do when making a quiche is, first we put in all of the solid ingredients. And yes, I'm including this, the shallots and the garlics that are caramelizing. But we're gonna put in, and you'll see, the base layer is going to have the ham, the cheese, the mushrooms, the spinach, whatever it is that you're going to put into it. Put all the solid stuff first. And then the cheese, usually, on top of like the spinach or whatever. And then you pour in the liquid, and I'll show you what that is. But that's going to be the eggs and the light cream that you're going to whisk together, and you're going to pour over your quiche starter ingredients. And you'll see it like absorb into the cheese, and you want to do whatever you can to not have it spill over, because that's going to create like a smoky mess in your oven, which you're already aware of, but just a reminder, because I forget sometimes, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, Am I starting a fire? No, I just was silly and allowed something to spill over, which then burned up on the bottom of the oven. Which is how it goes. But yeah, looking so good. Now, if you have a pan, there we go, that looks better. If you have a pan like this, this does not get hot, the handle. However, don't do that if you do not have a pan that stays cool on the handle. Use a glove. I'm not a superhero. I'm not just like defying the odds of being able to, grab hot things. It's because I've used this pan a lot and the handle never gets hot. Which kudos to the inventor of that. Science is crazy. Cooking technology is so much fun to watch. How things have changed. Okay, beautifully nice and brown. Turn that off. I'm gonna keep the oven on because I'm going to put everything in and then put it back in the oven. So, since we needed it preheated anyway, it's all worked out. Delicious. Let that cool off for a second. We're gonna go back over and start adding things over here. So sit tight, I'll bring you. With the mushrooms, I like to buy them whole because to me it's easier to take off the skin. Maybe you eat the skin, I don't know, for whatever reason. I grew up peeling the skin off. So that's what I'm gonna do because my mom's watching and I'm no dummy. And this is her famous quiche, so I'm doing it exactly how she did it. So I'm gonna do that a bunch of times. I'm not gonna make you watch me do that because that's boring. And then after we do all of that, I'm going to show you how to do the egg light cream combo with a whisk. So sit tight, hold on. Okay, the mushrooms are done. You got to skip that boring part. Now I'm gonna take 6 eggs, yolk and egg whites, so the whole thing. I'm gonna put it in. I grabbed Eggland's Best because when I was little I thought EB meant Easter Bunny. And you know, you can't prove me wrong. So they were on sale. That's why they came home. I'm not affiliated with them. If they'd like to be, they're welcome to reach out. Have your people call my people. My people are my puppy Marmalade and her little Lammy. And if you hear her in the background, I gave her an ice cube to play with, which is super exciting. And if you're someone with a puppy who's running out of ideas to keep them occupied while you're trying to get some stuff done, might I suggest using an ice cube because it's super easy and it's just water and they go gaga over it. I don't know if it's just because it's cold or what, but okay, we have our 6 eggs. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Sit tight. 6 eggs, a whisk. We're gonna add some light cream. I don't know if you're supposed to shake it or not, but shake, 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 Sonora. Shake it all the time. That's how I do it anyway. All right, just a little bit. That'll do it. Then you can use the rest for your coffee during the week or whatever else. And again, remember, I am making 2 quiches because it comes in a 2-pack and I've run out of room in my freezer, so I have to make them both. And one will stay here and one will be gifted, perhaps to a neighbor or to a family member, or if we have people coming over, it's really fun to sometimes have like a quiche for dinner with some fresh fruit, or for breakfast or brunch with fresh fruit. Always a crowd pleaser. And like practically good for you because there's spinach in it and other things like that. Air, that's good for you. Eggs, protein, so much protein. Obviously, if you have a bigger container, you might want to use it, but I like to live on the edge, you know. I like to shake it up, mix it up, literally. But also, I prefer to use glass when I'm doing this, and the bigger measuring thing that we have is plastic and angled, which is great for like dry ingredients, you know, or liquids, but not great for when you're trying to mix it because that means that there's going to be walls that you're hitting with this whisk. Boy, talk about a brain fart. It's just the excitement of making quiche. Don't stop, can't stop. Okay, So that will get mixed more in a second. But now we're going to start preparing the other things to then put into the base of the quiche, which we'll do right now. I've brought this over here. It'll be easier for me. I checked to make sure this was cool enough before I carried it over. Please do not burn yourselves. Not on my account anyway. I am going to now, mushroom crumbs, take this ham. You can use whatever kind of ham you want. If you want thicker ham, pork roll, or if you don't want ham at all, you could do like a goat cheese and a spinach. But I'm doing a little of everything because variety to me is the spice of life, and it's just so delicious. And of course I got like a honey maple ham. You don't have to. You can even get like the thicker kind. It's really whatever you want it to be and whatever your taste is, or the taste of your guests if you need it to make it for someone very important. But it's super easy. You don't necessarily have to cut it up because if you get like the deli ham, sandwich ham, because it's so thin, and in the quiche you're going to be able to easily like tear it up with a fork if you want to, but I'm going to do it like this because this is the way I do it. Tried and true and delicious. Make it your own. So the first layer is going to be ham. We're gonna do the ham, we're gonna do the mushrooms, we're gonna do the spinach, the cheese, pour in the liquid, bing bang boom. That's it. Put in the oven, obviously. And then listen to your tummy rumble as you smell the delicious quiches cooking in the oven. You do more, you do less. To me, this is the good amount. I really like to add different things. Sometimes you can add broccoli just to get different textures, which is fun. Everything's gonna cook down a bunch, and by everything I mean the mushrooms. You could also, now I regret not doing it, but here, learn from me. You can saute the mushrooms with everything that you're browning and caramelizing, i.e. the shallots and the garlic, which would have been delicious, but these will cook no problem just directly in the oven. So it just depends on how much time you have, what you feel like doing, and if it matters, or if you're even including something like mushrooms. All right, those are pretty even. You want them to be even for cooking's sake. You can make different ones, or you can use one to make an apple pie or do whatever you want. You're an adult, but if you are going to make the same things, similar things, you're going to put them in together. It makes sense, and it's much easier if they are fairly even, so you can take them both out at the same time. Otherwise, you have to do that scary dance of figuring out who's ready, who isn't, and that gets annoying. You're going to be super, super liberal with the shredded cheese. Shred it and forget it. Delicious. Like, I'm not kidding. This is not for those that are training for, actually, if you are training for a marathon, this could be a really good thing to either eat after, because whew, the muscles need to be fed, or before, because there's so much protein in it. Okay. That's enough of that. Then we're going to do the spinach. Spinach cooks down a very hilarious amount. So I know it's going to look absurd how much I'm putting on it, but understand that I understand just how far it's going to cook down. It's not like it's going to be a mountain on top. It's just absolutely hilarious how tiny it gets. But, okay, that's about even. Break it up a little more. You can dig out the stems if you want, but they're just going to cook down. So, you know, to me, I wouldn't waste time. But if you're putting this in like a baking competition and need it to look prettier, by all means, get super creative, make it super pretty. That's up to you. Okay, now that they're pretty chock full, we're going to add this great concoction to both. So you're going to put half in each. I know you're like, that's so obvious. It is, but, and I understand the cheese is going to absorb a lot of it. And for all my friends that do the frittatas, don't you miss the crust? I get it if it's for health, I totally get it. If you're like you have crazy cholesterol or something, you're not supposed to do it. But frittatas are great. However, I'm always still hungry after eating it. Let go, egg, let go. Okay, good enough. These are super ready. The oven has already preheated. So we're gonna put them back in and put it in for, hold on, good girl. Oh, Marmalade would like some quiet time on the couch. So cute. I'm gonna put this in for about 20 minutes, check on it, and then go from there. Hold on while I assist our girl Marmalade, get her up on the couch so she can take a little rest. I was going to put these in, I remembered the shallots, so awesome, it's gonna go on top. You can also add, if you wanted, bacon, either fresh cooked bacon or the bacon bits that are real pieces of bacon, just to add another dimension, another texture. Oh my God, the caramelized shallots smell so good. Make sure you spread it around. You don't want one person just getting a giant delicious bite and then nobody else gets it. It's kind of mean. So spread that around. Gosh, so, so good. Okay. And I'm noticing as I'm doing this, the cheese really absorbs the liquid. So just to make sure it cooks evenly and correctly, I'm going to add more of the eggs with the light cream to fill it in, because you need there to be enough liquid for it to create the perfect quiche. Otherwise, I'm sure it would still taste okay, but it becomes something else altogether that I'm not even sure what to call it. Okay. Eggs whisked, light cream added. Boop. Whisk it again. Okay. Use a bigger container. Learn from my mistakes. Do that till it's all consistent color and texture. Now, man, those shallots smell so good. Careful. I know the cheese will still absorb some of it, but okay. Don't let it fool you. You don't want it to spill out, but at the same time, you also do, it's okay, want it to fill in. What happens if you spill some? Well, you go in the closet and cry, or you just wipe it off and move on with your life, because we're human and it's totally okay for that. Come on, Slammer. Shalami eggs. Okay. Oh, the good news is it's spilled not on the pan, but on the kitchen island. So a little up front. I'll grab some paper towel, clean that up. And once I've cleaned that up and taken all the things that have fallen off, put them back in, then, now that it's perfect, it will go in the oven. Super awesome. So tasty. I can't wait. Fresh from the oven, perfectly cooked. You see the caramelized shallots and garlic on top, nice and crispy. Some of the spinach is a little crispy. Everything is cooked through. It is very hot. I used the heat gloves to move it over here. Again, please don't burn yourself. But this is ready and delicious. And before I put it in the oven, by the way, I did add the Italian seasoning. The salt and pepper is for after, depending on what the person wants, obviously on their slice. But it's really, really delicious smelling. Waft it towards you. Oh, yes, God, it smells so good. And now I have to wait for it to cool down, obviously, before I sink my teeth into them. But couldn't be happier. Came out great. And yours will too. And keep in mind, whatever ingredients you put in, like let's say you do like a goat cheese, a softer cheese like that, or creamier cheese, needs different cooking time. I used shredded cheese, so the heat and the time worked out perfectly to make sure the rest of it got cooked. You just need to always keep in mind the ingredients that you're putting in and who needs what to make sure that you don't end up burning anything or undercooking anything, which can be gross. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear how your quiches have turned out and what you put in them, and let me know. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Sam Explains the World with your host, Samantha Bremekamp. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Same bat time and same bat channel. BCTV.